Cancel the shoot. Cancel the shoot.
The dude's grimy.
What? You know, one of my favorite things to do when I visit a new place is to find a rooftop and just lounge while taking in the city views. I like that makes me feel small, just a speck in the urban landscape. Yet so powerful, standing atop a creation that's pretty much touching the sky. One of my faves, other than the views of my beloved New York, of course. The KK100 in Shenzhen, China. Skyscrapers are one of the most impressive creations of humankind. They're iconic and artistic, a testament to the power of human engineering. And they're getting taller and going up faster, which for me brings up a lot of questions. How are they going up so quickly? Who's paying for them? And what does it mean for us as a society that we're throwing up mega buildings at record speed? I'm Dolly, and today on Zoetic, I'm gonna get my econ grind on by examining an interesting theory, that skyscrapers can predict economic crises. In 2004, the tallest building on Earth, the Burj Khalifa, broke ground in the United Arab Emirates. 3 years later, in the middle of construction, the world began an economic downslide into the worst recession since the Great Depression. Surprisingly, this was not the first time the completion of a super skyscraper coincided with hard financial times. In the 90s, a banker named Andrew Lawrence looked at the connection between these incredibly tall buildings and the economic boom-bust cycles. And he found a pattern of skyscrapers breaking ground during economic boom periods, when things were amazing. But by the time they are completed, the economic boom had collapsed into a bust. Though, keep in mind, correlation doesn't imply causation. But this building theory is something worth indulging in just a little bit, so stick with me here. The skyscraper phenomenon goes way back, over 100 years, to the year 1870. That's when one of the world's first skyscrapers, we'll definitely need some air quotes on that, was built. At a mind-boggling 7 stories, the Equitable Life building dominated Broadway in New York City. This is the first example in Lawrence's theory. After construction, a 5-year recession known as the Long Depression kicked in. So what about the Great Depression?
What about it?
Tell me about it. When the stock market crashed, there was massive unemployment, panic at the banks, and food riots. Both the Chrysler Building and the Empire State Building were completed during the Great Depression. 2 other icons of US economic power, the World Trade Center and the Sears Tower, went up during the economic crisis in the 70s. Coincidence? Lawrence suggests that these buildings were planned when there was overconfidence in the market, which just didn't last. So why keep building skyscrapers when there's such huge investments and potential indicators of economic downturn? There are definitely some financial benefits in building something that is 100 stories high. Building up is a good idea in general. It's more bang for your buck. You can put 10 stories instead of 2 on the same plot of land and make more money renting out the extra space. But everything reaches a point of diminishing returns. At a certain height, the additional stories no longer make financial sense. You'll need more steel to fight high altitude winds and extra elevators to move people 100 stories high. You can see here how your costs might start overpowering your revenue. So when we get to this point, building higher is no longer about money. It's about something else. Ego? Feats of engineering? Or just a short claim to fame? Having the tallest building is symbolically important. It plays into individual hubris and ego, even national pride. If we step back and look at when the world's tallest buildings were actually built, we'll find that most are put up in the last 20-something years. Not terribly surprising, since better engineering and materials allows us to build higher for cheaper. And if we look even closer at this subset of super tall modern skyscrapers, we'll find that most of the world's tallest buildings are located in the Middle East or Asia, which is very different from, say, 1930, when 99 out of the world's 100 tallest buildings were located in North America. By 2010, only 22% of the tallest buildings were in North America. What's this shift in the geographical location of mega skyscrapers say about our global economy? Clearly, the Middle East and Asia are willing to invest a lot more in expanding their skylines. And going off Lawrence's theory, this geographical shift also shows how the economic powerhouses of the world may be going from west to east. But if Lawrence's skyscraper index holds true, it also means countries like China, which has a disproportionate number of the world's tallest buildings, may be heading towards some financial troubles. It's important to note that not everyone buys into Lawrence's skyscraper index. A group of Rutgers economists went head-to-head with it in 2014 and debunked the theory. When they looked at the construction of skyscrapers, they found very little correlation with the peaks and troughs of economic cycles. Look, Even the first example proposed by Lawrence of the equitable life building in New York wasn't immediately followed by a recession. It took 3 years for that to kick in, which isn't an insignificant gap of time when you're trying to predict an economic decline. It may all just fall into the natural boom and bust cycle of an economy. Even if Lawrence's skyscraper theory has some holes, it's hard to not be suspicious of this relatively new phenomenon of racing to construct the tallest skyscraper in the world. Something spooky is happening. Even though my first love was art, I still studied economics because the truth is money moves everything, including skyscrapers apparently. If you guys have any thoughts on what we should cover next, would love it if you subscribed. Thanks for watching Zoetic. I'll see you guys next time.